How's everyone going? How's everyone doing tonight? I see the chats lighting up. That's good. Everybody's chit chatting, saying hello, where they're from. Love to see it. If you remember from last week, I'm Trish. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Witchsea.com up there behind me. And we are here for part two of our Protection Magic series. And beside me here is the Blue Witch. She's freezing over there in Kentucky. But I just wanted to, again, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts that you are here to support us and to support the Blue Witch. We really, really appreciate it. And as an appreciation for that, like I did last week, this week, I'm going to also give away a set of our spiritual armor protection candles and our deep protection ritual oil to one lucky person who's attending live tonight. So I'll do that at the end. We'll pull a list of everybody that attended, and we will draw a name. And hopefully you're following our Facebook page, Witchsea, and we will announce the winner right there tomorrow morning. So, and without further ado, I'm going to hand part two over to the Blue Witch. Enjoy.
Hey guys, I'm so excited we're back. I know a lot of you guys came back from the first one and that's amazing, and I see new faces. So, I want to start real quick just by saying that the Blue Witch protection kits that we're going to be that Witchsea had for sale for the third webinar, the one after this one, tonight is the last night to buy those. I just wanted to let you guys know that you can still run over and purchase them as soon as this webinar is over, but if you don't get them tonight, you're not going to receive them on time. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. And also, you're just going to have to bear with me because I'm a little bit sick. I don't know if you can hear don't listen to my nasally voice. I hate it. Okay. So just tell me my voice sounds pretty, and that's fine. It'll be fine. We're all fine. Um, I'm going to jump into information pretty quickly here because I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say on this one. So we'll get to it. We are officially past the boring but necessary parts. So you've cleansed, you've grounded, you're not just flinging vibes around and hoping for the best anymore. I'm proud of you. So this is where we get into the stuff that everyone actually showed up for, right? The protection jars. And before you like bring yourself immediately to, okay, cool, what herbs do I need? What crystals do I buy? What list do I screenshot? Let's just slow down and breathe for just a second, because protection jars are not powerful because you crammed, oh, there's like a really loud truck going by, because you crammed everything protective that you've ever known about into one little tiny glass container. It just doesn't work like that. It's not a magical junk drawer, right? So we are just gonna remind ourselves that more is not better. Clear is better. I think I'm shaking my table. Clear is better. A protection jar is basically a container with a job. That's it. It's not a panic spell. It's not a fear response. It's not you screaming into the void like, universe, please keep everything away from me forever. It's more like just calmly saying, hey, this is my space. This is where I end and the rest of the world begins, which is way sexier energy, honestly. So before we talk about tools or ingredients or the fun, sparkly stuff, we need to answer one question that people love to skip and then wonder why their magic feels right? What are you actually protecting yourself from? And negative energy is not an answer. That is not an answer here. That's like when somebody asks you if you're hungry and you say yeah, and then they're like, what do you want? And you're like, I don't know. We can't do that here. Negative energy from where? From who? From doing what? Are you exhausted because you soak up everyone else's emotions like a little sponge? Are you I mean, what are you protecting yourself from? Are certain people draining the hell out of you? Does your home feel chaotic? Are you trying to protect your peace, your sleep, your mood, your focus? Those are all very different goals. Protection magic and magic in general works best when it's specific. You don't need to write an entire thesis about it, but you do need more than vibes. So something more like, I want to stop carrying the energy that isn't mine. I want my home to feel calmer and safer. I want to feel less affected by other people's bullshit. All extremely valid. All extremely valid. But you need to pick one. That's going to be your anchor. Now let's talk about the jar itself, because I know some of you guys are already overthinking this. I've seen questions, I've had comments and stuff on my videos. Your jar does not need to be cute. It does not need to be aesthetic. It does not need to match your altar or your outfit or your Instagram grid. Magic does not care if your jar is ugly. It just doesn't. Glass is common because it's neutral and sturdy. Small jars work great because protection magic doesn't have to be huge. You're not canning tomatoes. You're setting a boundary. Clear jars let you see what's inside, which can strengthen those associations in your brain. And some people like that because it keeps the intention visible for them. Opaque jars keep things hidden, which some people prefer because for protection, neither one is more witchy. I mean, just pick what feels right to you and then move on with your life. It's really, honestly, it's not that deep. If all you have is a random jar from your kitchen that used to hold pasta sauce or pickles, wash it. Boom. Witchcraft. It's all good. I promise you. Once you have your container, this is where people usually get a little feral and start throwing things in like they're on a game show. So you're going to need to pause. A protection jar isn't a container, it's a structure, and structure matters. I like to think of the jars in terms of roles, not ingredients. So you want things in there that are actually going to do something, not just look impressive. I'm sorry. I told you you're going to have to bear with me. But you want things in there that are not just impressive. You want to be putting them in there for a reason. Something that usually first you put in something that represents you. This is where beginners panic for absolutely no reason, because if I have to hear it again, I swear. You do not need to put blood in your jar. I'm begging you. Please do not put blood in your protection jar because you saw someone online do it. Blood magic is not beginner friendly and also not necessary for protection. Representation is enough. So your name on a piece of paper, a symbol that you associate with yourself, a sigil that you made, even if you want to get extremely personal, a strand of your hair. A strand of your hair, if that feels okay to you, something that just clearly says, hey, this is me. You're not binding yourself. You're just tagging the spell so it knows who it's working for. The next thing that you would usually put in is your protection and boundary elements. So this is where correspondences come in, but I want you to think about them like relationships, not rules that you're going to get graded on. Salt is protective because it preserves, cleanses, and it creates boundaries. Iron is protective because it's grounding and solid. Herbs like rosemary, bay, basil, cloves, they've been used forever because they reinforce strength, wording, and clarity. And you don't need all of them. You don't need a whole grocery list of things. Ask yourself, does this ingredient help create a boundary? Does it reinforce strength? Does it deflect unwanted energy or stabilize me? If the answer is yes, that's cool. It belongs there. If you're adding it because someone said you have to, that's not a reason. When we're then we're going to ground. We're adding our grounding and stability things because protection isn't just about keeping things out. It's about helping you stay upright when life inevitably tries to knock you sideways, right? Earthy stuff works great here. Stones, dirt from property, if that feels appropriate for you. Crystals like obsidian, black tourmaline, smoky quartz. Not because they're trendy, but because they're grounding and they absorb. If crystals aren't your thing, that's totally fine too. Protection existed long before Etsy. And then there's the activation things. So that's like the, okay, now we're actually doing this part. Candles, oils, breath, spoken words, smoke. Again, you don't need it all. You just need presence. You're building something with purpose. Most beginner spells either work beautifully or they completely fall flat. The energy that you bring into your creation matters more than what you're putting inside the jar. If you're rushed, anxious, or doubting yourself the whole time, you're doing this from a place of fear, and that's going to get baked into your spell. Protection magic should feel steady, grounded, and calm. You're not panic spelling your way into safety. That's not even possible. You're claiming space. If your nervous system is freaking out while you're doing it, that's a sign to pause, ground again, and come back to it later. And I really want you to sit on this for a second, because this is one of those things that people hear, but they don't actually listen to. Magic does not work better because you pushed through when you were overwhelmed. That's like hustle culture. It's not witchcraft. If you're shaky or disassociated or panicky or rushing because you feel like you have to finish that jar right now or else or something bad's going to happen, that's not intuition, that's anxiety. Protection magic should feel like you're exhaling. It should feel good, like, oh, you know, I've got this. Not like you're diffusing a bomb. You shouldn't be full of anxiety, okay? So once you're grounded, once you're present, once your body feels relatively calm, it doesn't have to be perfect, just calm enough. That's when you actually start assembling your jar. And here's one where I'm going to save you a lot of unnecessary stress. There is no single correct order. Anyone who tells you that there is only one right way to layer a protection jar is either selling something or projecting their own rigidity onto you. That being said, having a structure helps, especially for beginners, because it keeps you intentional instead of chaotic. I usually like to start with the element that represents you. So your name, your symbol, your petition, whatever you chose. I like to put that in first because it anchors the work. It's basically saying this spell's online and this is who it's for. And when you place it in the jar, don't just toss it in. Take a second, touch it, acknowledge it. You don't need a dramatic incantation, but you can literally say something simple like, this is me. This is for my protection. Simple, direct. That's all you need. Next, you're going to start adding protection and boundary elements. This is where you slow down, add one thing at a time, and as you add it, remind yourself why you're putting it in there. Not like a memorized correspondence, just honest intention. Like this helps keep what isn't mine from sticking to me. This reinforces my boundaries. This strengthens my sense of safety. You're communicating with your jar. And here's something that people, I feel like, don't really talk about enough, but you're allowed to talk to your spell like it's a cooperative thing, like it's a being, it's working with you. You don't have to command it. You're not barking at it. Protection magic works best when it feels like a partnership, not when you're trying to control things. So now you're going to add like your grounding elements, which are the things that stabilize and anchor the jar. This is the part that helps the protection last instead of feeling buzzy for 2 days and then fizzling out, right? Grounding gives the magic weight. So as you add these pieces, imagine the protection settling all around you, not expanding aggressively, not snapping onward or outward, settling in around you like a safety perimeter. It doesn't have to be, something like that shield that we talked about before that you throw up or something like that. It's just going to settle in and be there. Think walls, but not like barbed wire. If at any point your brain starts yelling, am I doing this right? Congratulations. You're a witch. That voice doesn't mean that you're messing it up. It means that you care. I've actually had to address this a few times in comments and stuff too, because people are like, I doubt myself and I'm not really sure what to do with it. And that doubt, especially when you're starting, that's always going to be there. It's almost like you haven't given yourself permission yet. And the only way to get past that is to just do it. You have to just do it. And you have to, I don't know how to explain that. Confidence comes with practice. It comes with practice. It's just like any other skill. You have to learn it. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at that. That confidence will come. How's it looking at the comments over here? I try not to because I know it totally distracts me. But so anyways, yeah, that the confidence will come. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that that you're doubting yourself. Acknowledge that you feel that way. Sit with it for just a second, but then keep going. Just keep going. Let's talk about sealing and activation, because this is where people either overdo it or they skip it completely. Activation is just you telling the jar, okay, we're on. Like, you're working. This working is now standing. It should be doing its thing. Candles are common here because fire is transformative and focusing. You might drip wax over the top of the jar once you're done. That seals it physically and symbolically. But listen, candle magic is not mandatory. If you don't have candles or you don't want to deal with fire, I've seen that a lot where people are like, I don't want to do the fire thing. It freaks them out for whatever reason, and that's fine. If it just doesn't feel aligned, if you're not any less witchy for that, you can activate it with breath. You can activate it with touch, with spoken words, with smoke, or a visualization. There's lots of different ways that you can activate the jar without having to seal it in wax. You can also hold the jar in your hands, take a few deep breaths, and then just imagine the intention locking into place. You can say something simple here too. This jar protects me. What is not mine does not stay with me. That's enough. The power is not in aesthetic. It's in the clarity, in the words that you speak, in the words that you think, the intention that you're putting into it. Let's talk about, this brings me on to a huge beginner mistake. I need to call this one out gently and firmly, but once the jar is done, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Do not keep opening it. Do not keep adding things because you're nervous. Do not keep shaking it or checking on it or redoing it or second guessing it. Protection magic is not a Tamagotchi. If you constantly mess with it, you're telling the spell that you don't trust it to do its job. And more importantly, you're keeping yourself in a state of vigilance instead of safety. So once it's done, decide where it's going to live. Some people put protection jars near the front door, on their altar, under their bed, in a closet, or somewhere discreet if they're not out of the closet yet. There's no universal rule. Put it somewhere that makes sense for the type of protection that you're working. So once it's placed, that's it. Just let it work. Now let's talk about maintenance, because that's another place that people overcomplicate things. Protection jars do not need constant attention. They don't need daily affirmations. They don't need to be recharged every full moon unless you specifically built them that way, because you can build them that way. But if you don't, it doesn't need that. If you want to check in with it occasionally, light a candle near it, touch it, thank it for its work, that's 100% cool. Like, that's totally acceptable. That is relationship building. That's a good thing. But if you feel anxious that you need to keep doing things to it or something bad is going to happen, that's fear. We don't want to do that. Protection magic should reduce your anxiety, not feed it. And here's also a little reality check I always give beginners. Protection magic does not mean that nothing uncomfortable is ever going that it's never going to happen to you again. It means that you are better supported, that you can bounce back faster, that you're more grounded, that you're less impacted when things do happen. It's not a force field that stops life. It's reinforcement. You still need boundaries. You still need rest. You still need to not let people drain you dry. Magic supports your actions, it doesn't replace them. Now, I want to normalize something that happens after people make their first protection jar. Some of you, I'm sure, have made protection jars before, but this seems like a pretty regular occurrence. So you might feel calmer, you might feel lighter, you might feel absolutely nothing at all. All of those things are normal. Magic does not always announce itself. Sometimes it works quietly in the background, reinforcing things that you're already doing. Don't go hunting for signs. Don't stress test it by throwing yourself into chaos to see if it holds up. Just live your life and notice how you feel over time. That's where real feedback is. Now let's talk about correspondences in a way that doesn't make your brain want to explode. A lot of people think they have to memorize an entire witchy encyclopedia to be doing it right, because correspondences are like rules or something, but they're not rules. They're actually more like shortcuts. Okay. They're patterns that people have noticed over time. They've been passed down. These things are proven to work. They're like, hey, this thing tends to work for this purpose, and that's it. It's not a law, though, and it's not a requirement. It's just information that you can choose to use or not to use. But one of the biggest mistakes that beginners make with correspondences is thinking that they need to follow someone else's list instead of building their own relationship with the materials. If there's an herb that makes you feel safe, grounded, and steady, that matters more than what the chart says. If a crystal feels supportive to you, that matters more than whether it's traditionally used for protection or not. Your nervous system is part of the spell, and your nervous system will talk to you. So let's talk through like some common categories so you can start noticing patterns and making choices with confidence. Protective herbs, for example, are usually things that preserve, strengthen, or ward. So we're talking like salt, rosemary, bay leaf, basil, cloves, garlic. Those show up over and over in protection work across many different cultures because they're strong, they're grounding, and historically associated with keeping things from spoiling or sticking or invading your space. But here's the thing, if you hate the smell of garlic and it makes you tense every time you smell it or touch it, or just makes you, your stomach turn or something, that's not going to be protective for you. Even though it's traditionally associated with protection, if that's how it makes you feel, that's not a good herb for you to use. Magic that stresses you out is bad magic. I see you over there. You can make a protection jar for someone else. But yeah, that's just bad magic, and that's not what you want to do. Protection should feel reinforcing, not irritating. Stones and minerals, people love to act like crystals are mandatory, and they're not. But if you do work with them, you want to work with, if you're working for doing a protection working, you want to work with grounding stones. Stones that absorb, stones that tend to play well with protection are like obsidian, black tourmaline, smoky quartz, hematite, things that feel heavy and solid and anchoring. And again, you don't need a crystal collection that could financially ruin you. One stone that you connect with is plenty. This is where people's creativity starts lighting up. Sigils. Sigils are one of the easiest, most customizable tools that you can use in protection magic. And beginners are usually shocked by how simple that it actually is to make one. It does not have to be Instagram worthy. It does not have to follow a specific method. It just needs to represent your intention. So you can create one by writing a sentence on a piece of paper, like, I am protected and grounded. You're going to go through and cross out all the vowels, and then you're going to cross out all the letters that repeat. And then the letters that are left, you can turn those into a symbol. Like, take those letters and kind of form them together. I'm doing that like you can see my hand, but kind of form them together, twist them and turn them, however you need to do that, till you make a symbol of your own. Or you can just draw whatever feels right for you. It's not an art contest. You can put that sigil on paper inside the jar. You can draw it on the jar itself. You can even visualize it when you activate the spell. It's a great way to make a spell feel personal. And sigils kind of like they charge over time too. They're very powerful because the more you use them, the more powerful it becomes. Another fun option is color. Color magic works because our brains already associate meaning with specific colors. So, black for protection, white for clarity, blue for calm, green for stability, red for strength. You can bring color, most people immediately go to candles, but you can bring color in through candle wax, you can bring it in through paper, string, paint, even just visualizing specific colors while you're performing your spell. Again, that is optional, not required. Protection magic does not need bells and whistles to work. You can literally put your hand on your chest and cast a spell with nothing. How about customizing jars for different situations? Because this is where beginners also usually have like an oh shit moment. You don't need one mega jar to protect you from everything forever. You can make different jars for different purposes. So you can do one for your home. You can do one for emotional situations. You can do one for public places. And these don't need to be complicated. In fact, the simpler, probably, usually, the better. A jar meant to protect your home, that might be something that lives by the front door. We talked about, choosing where it's going to live based on the type of protection that you're working. So if you do something to protect your home, that might live near the front door or the back door if that's the door that you use more often. And that's going to focus on stability and peace. A jar meant for emotional protection, that would focus more on grounding, boundary reinforcement, self-regulation. And you might keep that like in your pocket or in a purse or something that you carry with you so that it's always with you, especially when you're in public places or awkward situations and things like that. The intention shapes the structure. So here's something else that doesn't get said enough. Protection magic doesn't mean that you never feel discomfort again. We talked about, things are going to happen, but I'm trying to explain it in a couple of different ways so that you understand that once you cast this, you might not feel any different. It just means that you're going to be less overwhelmed when things do happen. It means that you're going to recover faster. You're going to carry less that isn't yours. And that is the win. That's the win in the whole shebang. So let's talk about when to refresh or dismantle a jar. Close to time here. I still have so much I want to say. Okay, hang with me. Let's talk about when to dismantle and when to refresh it. Okay. There are times when that makes sense. If the intention's changed, if you move houses, if the jar is damaged, if you feel like the work has completed its job, ending a spell, that Kentucky accent almost came out. Ending a spell is not failure. It's closure. You can thank the jar, empty it respectfully, cleanse the container and reuse it or release it. As far as how to dispose of things, if it's things that can be returned to the earth, return it to the earth. Ashes, I usually throw to the wind. If it's herbal, oils, things like that, bury it. If it's something that you can't bury, you can throw it in the trash. Just be sure to thank it first because you want to be respectful to this thing that has worked alongside of you for how long now? Just dispose of it in a respectful way. Also, magic isn't meant to sit stagnant forever. So protection magic should make you feel more confident in the world, not afraid of it. If you start feeling like everything is a threat, like you need to have constant wards, constant cleansing, constant reinforcement, that's hypervigilance. And that's not what we're building here either. We're building support. We're building reinforcement. We're building a sense of, I've got myself, and that's the real magic. If you take nothing else from this entire section, take this. Protection magic works best when it is built from self-trust, not fear. You're not fragile. You're not constantly under attack. I know people like to think that, but they're honestly not. You probably attack yourself more than anyone else does. You're allowed to feel safe, and learning to work with protection magic in a grounded, intentional way helps remind your nervous system of that truth. That is where real power is. Um, and I think that's where we're going to stop, because from here, honestly, everything else is just practice. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to start where you are and do it on purpose. Do it intentionally. You're, like I said in the first one, we're now learning to do things on purpose. You've been doing it on accident. Now we're going to do it on purpose. Trish is back. I just want to remind you guys one more time. Tonight is the last time that you have to purchase the Blue Witch protection kits for webinar 3. After tonight, you won't get them on time, but you can still purchase them if you want to have it for the replay and follow along yourself.
All right, let's get to some questions. We have a lot. So Devin says, as someone with autism, ADHD, can we protect ourselves from our own intrusive thoughts, holding ourselves back because of our unseen disabilities?
Yes, absolutely. You can protect yourself. You can protect yourself from yourself. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not going to call her out, but I follow this person on TikTok, and she experimented with that and froze herself. She froze herself in a freezer to protect herself from herself, and it worked. It worked for her. So that, I mean, magic is definitely transferable like that. You can 100% do a protection jar. You can set your intentions. You can be specific about what you're saying. You know, these are the habits that I want to protect from myself. You can say that, word it that way, so that the universe knows what you're saying, because what that's going to come down to, honestly, is just being the most specific that you can. I always tell people the universe is like a 5-year-old. You have to talk to the universe like it's a 5-year-old and give it very specific instructions. But if you can get specific enough, you can most definitely create a protection jar for that. You can freeze those things. You can do candle magic for that. You could even release things like that on a full moon. Do a release ritual for that. There's lots of ways that you could do that. If you are feeling, it's kind of one of those situations though, where you're kind of feeling like, I don't want to say that you don't want to feel like you're unsafe from yourself, but there are ways to support yourself, to redirect that energy into something more positive.
And this is from Dee. Do you make this part of your altar work? She feels very pulled towards spirit work, and she's not certain why, but she's a beginner, and she wanted to start exploring by reading. And let's see, she often feels a lot of vicarious trauma. The stones like smoky quartz, tiger's eye, and black tourmaline have been super helpful. And to not feel drained at the end of the day. So do you make this as part of your altar work, especially when you're working with your deities?
Yes. You should, honestly, you should have protections up and working before you do any kind of spell work or any kind of spirit work. The thing about protection is, though, it works best in layers. That's why I said you can make multiple jars. You don't have to just have one jar and then ask that one jar to do everything. You can split up the tasks. So if you want to have like a protection jar for your home, have that. If you want to have a protection jar that protects you during divination, specifically make one for that. And then keep that in the place where you do your divination, or where you honor your spirits, or you communicate and things like that. Keep it there. So you can definitely do that. I highly recommend doing that, actually. You want to have some kind of protection in place by your altar.
And Britt asks, can you make protection jars for your small children?
Oh my gosh,
children go in the same jar?
Yes, you caught me like literally tomorrow. I just edited a video to post on my page tomorrow about, if you practice magic and you have small children in your home, your protection should automatically extend to your children. That should be an automatic thing when you do any kind of work. And it doesn't have to be like, they don't have to understand what you're doing. Things that I do for my kids, and I literally say this in my video tomorrow, so you guys are getting like a little sneak peek, right? You could salt water, sprinkle by the doorway. Put a stone, like a protective stone, in their pillowcase. You want to make sure it's like under the pillow part, because you don't want it to like poke them in the head or something. But like put it under their pillow. You can even let them know that you're doing that, because kids that age, they don't understand. They might not fully understand the process, but they know that you've done something to keep them safe, and that reinforces the work that you're doing, and it reinforces it for them. So you could do something like that. I have a little dream catcher. It's not, protection per se, but my kids were having nightmares. I hung it in their room, told them it stops them from having nightmares. Their nightmares went away. It's just, little things that you can do like that. Definitely extend your protection to your children.
And Cosmic Lotus asks how many ingredients are best when you are putting your protection jars together.
That is not, there's not a specific number. Everybody feels and interprets things like that differently. So you kind of just have to go, by how you feel. So when you are gathering your ingredients to start the spell, and you're looking, because most beginners will either look in a book and they'll look up herbs that are good for protection. That's what I did when I started. Maybe you don't, I don't know, but you look in a book, herbs that are good for protection, or you look online, herbs that are good for protection, metaphysical properties, whatever. So once you get that big long list and you're trying to figure out which ones you have, just start with one at a time. Start with one that you feel connected to. And then if you go through that list and you feel connected to another one, add that one. If you feel connected to another one, add that one. They're calling to you for a reason. But, if you're getting like 15, 20 herbs, take a step back for a second, ground, and just kind of ask yourself, like, do I want this in the jar because it's actually doing something for me? Or do I want it in the jar because it's on the list and I have it? You have to judge that for yourself. But I say put things in until your body naturally relaxes on its own, until you lose that urge to keep adding stuff. Once your body relaxes and you don't feel the need to add things anymore, don't add anything else. You don't need anything else.
And Christina asks, what are grounding elements?
Grounding elements. Well, that's like you have like earth, air, fire, water. There's going to be different things in each element that are grounding. So like stones are grounding for earth, stones, crystals, soil, things like that. You can put that in the jar too. Like if you go out to your yard, you can grab some dirt from your yard. Dirt is cleansing. It's very pure. It comes from the earth. It holds energy in itself. Same way for stones and things. For air, I would say something grounding for air is like your breath. Water, seashells. What am I missing? Fire. Fire's just fire. So, but yeah, there's going to be lots of different ways that you can find grounding elements, things that are anchors. It's usually things that feel heavy, that hold you down, that when you hold them, it gives you a calm, more connected feeling that helps you come back into yourself, that it's enough that it makes you aware of your present state. Am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. It's a good answer. Caroline asked, can you seal and activate with string or twine?
Yes. Yep. You can seal with the string or twine, activate it with your breath. That's like the easiest way. I know everybody always like wants the fancy tools, but your breath is your literal life force. Like you can't get much stronger of an activation than when you breathe on something. I will die on that hill. That's your energy going straight into it.
And Robin asked, when we make our jars next week, she plans to make hers a gift to her son. Are there some other ingredients or items that she could add to make the jar specific to protect and to keep him safe?
if you want to put something special in there that represents him, maybe something that he really likes, or a little photo of him, or just writing his name on a little petition paper, anything like that, you could put in there. That's called tagging your spell. So when you put something personal, like if you're doing a spell for someone else, you want to do it for yourself too. But if you're doing a spell for someone else, you want to put something that is very personal, even if it's just the person's name written on a piece of paper in that spell, because then it tells that spell this is who you're working for.
Is there an expiration date on a jar, pouch, or other vial?
For that, I would say it depends on what you put in it. But in general, I mean, if you're just using a petition, some herbs and stones, not really. As long as you do your maintenance on it. I mean, like I said, you don't have to charge it under every single full moon unless you programmed it that way. But in general, I would refresh it, as in charge it up, shake it, touch it, kind of refresh your intentions with it at least once a month. I mean, and that's not a lot, but it doesn't need to be a lot. If as long as you set it and you don't keep messing with it, I'm sorry. As long as you set it and you don't keep messing with it, that's enough. It's enough. Once a month is enough of a refresh.
Do you close the jar or keep the lid off?
Well, you're going to close the jar because that kind of signifies the end of your working, right? So you close the jar, you seal in your work. You don't have to seal it with something. If say you have a cork top or like a screw top lid or something, you can just put the lid on. But closing it up signifies this is done. This is complete. That's when you're going to activate it, and that work should already be standing and working when you activate it up. Like it should already be doing its thing. It might not know for who until you activate it, but it should already be done and doing its thing. Um, so yeah, you can definitely seal it. Usually when you take the top off or you undo it, that's when you're like dismantling something. So if you've made something and you've sealed it up, and honestly, it depends on what kind of working you're doing too. That's a little bit of a broad question because some things don't need to be sealed, but if you're just doing, like, if we're talking in general, when you open it back up is usually when you're undoing your work. When you want to pull everything out and be completely done with it, cleanse it, return it to the earth, whatever you need to do, and then you can reuse the jar, reuse the stones.
We'll take a couple of more, but there's like 10 plus questions in here. So maybe we could move some of those questions to next week and we could do like before we kind of get going, if that works for you. Just a few minutes to, you know,
That's fine. Do you want to do like a
we could
shoot
move
me,
next
shoot
week
me like
to
a
an hour.
pre-submitted list?
Yeah, we could pre-submit these questions and we
And then
could,
we can I'll just start next week with answering the questions from this week.
yeah, I think that would be
Work.
great. If we have some time, we could even, move it to, an hour. So
Mhm.
we just to make sure that we can get to everything because I'm sure there'll be more questions after we put the jar together. But we'll
Okay.
do a couple more right now. D says, is it typical when building a protective or banishing jar spell? Do you keep the jar or get rid of it?
Do you mean after, if you're talking about like after you dismantle it? If you dismantle it, like if you open it back up and you take everything out and you're gonna like return the herbs to the earth or do whatever you can with those, you can cleanse and reuse the jar and the stones for that.
Yeah, so I think she's kind of asking a couple of different things. If it's a banishing, then it's a whole nother working. That's maybe for a
Yeah,
different one.
I'm not sure how to take it, but I think she meant when you're like dismantling it.
Okay. All
I don't
right.
know. I could be wrong.
Maybe she can give us a little more clarity on that next time. If you're making a jar for someone, do they have to be aware that you're making it for them for it to work?
No, I mean, unless it makes you uncomfortable that they don't know, but when Christians say a prayer for somebody that's in the hospital, do they ask permission? No, I don't think so. Not for a protection jar.
And should you place your protection on your altar? I think we kind of covered this earlier that,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. All right. I thought this was a good question here. So let's get to this one. Is it okay to grind whole herbs in your mortar for spell jars, or will it reduce the potency?
Grind them. Grind them up. Whatever you need to do, it's not going to reduce the potency.
I agree. How about this one? Black salt versus sea salt for protection.
Well, that depends too. Here's my opinion on that. Black salt, if you make it yourself. If you are saving your ashes from previous protection spells, if you are saving the things that you've done, the workings that you've done that have positive, good protective energy in it, and then you make your own black salt, the black salt. If you don't have black salt, I mean, if you have the option of black salt or sea salt, I mean, I don't know. I love some sea salt. I do. I love some sea salt. I don't know. I think that's kind of more of like a preference thing. When doing, well, here's the weird thing, I guess. I've never really thought about it, but when doing protective work on myself, I tend to use the sea salt. If I'm doing it for my home, I tend to use the black salt. I don't know why. That's just what I feel called to do. So maybe just go with what you feel is best, because there's no rule. There's no definitive yes or no on either one of those.
Absolutely. So that was the last one that we'll take tonight. So if you want to just give a quick ending into what we can expect for next week, that would be great.
Next week, we are going to do the walkthrough. Again, tonight's the last night to get the kit. You do not have to get the kit. I know I'm pushing that. It's just if you want it, this is your last chance to get it in time for the webinar. But you can just get it if you want it for the replay. If you have all the ingredients, if you just want to swing over there and look, all the ingredients are listed. We didn't gatekeep anything. So it's all right there. You can gather it yourself. If you have substitutions that you would rather use or other things that you would rather use, this is your protection jar. It's not, you don't have to use exactly what we're using. Just so that we're clear on that. It does not have to be the same thing I have. If you want to gather your own stuff, gather your own stuff. But yeah, we're going to do a walkthrough start to finish. We will talk about as we're doing it, we'll cleanse, we'll build the jar together. After the jar is built, we will seal it up, we'll activate it, and then we will talk about dismantling again. Just, as a refresher, we'll talk about dismantling, when you should do that, when you should refresh it, and things like that. So I just want to hit everything again, basically everything we've already talked about, only this time we're doing it. We're putting it to action.
Right. And, I had someone reach out to me, and I'll just call her out, Rob. And she had a great question. She was telling me that she wasn't going to get the kit because she had all the stuff at home. The only thing she didn't have was the Mercone. And should I go out and buy it? Absolutely not. It's, for cleansing of the jar and the space. If you have sage, clapping, that's what I said, clapping, anything, bells, anything like that to clear your space and to clear the jar. And, if you have different ingredients than what's listed, just like the Blue Witch was saying, if it resonates with you, use it. Just, you can follow the layering and however you want to do it. But if we put a bunch of different herbs in the kit, so if something calls to you, use it. If it doesn't call to you, leave it out and move on.
It's the same way if you purchase the kit. If you get the kit and something in there just doesn't feel right, leave it out. Just leave it out. It's going to work so much better, and it's going to be so much more intentional for you if you go with what you feel. Herbs have associations. Intention, I'm not one of those intention is everything. Intention is not everything, but intention is a big enough part of it that as long as your correspondences, if they are aligned, use what you feel called to use.
Absolutely.
It's going to work so much better if you do it that way. Don't do it because we said do it.
Yep. 100%. But I want to thank you all for coming tonight. The replay will be up at witchsea.com tomorrow under the Witchsea Academy tab, and you're going to start seeing a lot more content come up under that tab. So make sure you're checking it. And, as always, give us a visit. We have some really great vendors and small business creators there. You'll find some really cool stuff there. So if you feel called to it,
Oh,
come and
yeah.
give us a visit.
Oh yeah, go check out either Witchsea or my page. It's posted on both. The shadow work webinar coming up February 3rd.
Yeah, don't miss out on that. If your shadow work is calling to you, you haven't started it yet, this is a really great place to begin. And we will be giving away our shadow box to a person who attends that live event.
I
Oh,
have the box. Do you want me to show them?
show them real quick. Yeah.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
The
It's right
shadow,
here.
the shadow box was our shop, Two Sisters of the Harvest Moon, was our very first box that we put together. We're super proud of it. It's a road opener spell box for shadow work, and
It's
it's
amazing.
quite amazing, if I do say so myself.
It smells good. I can smell it already. So you get a little card. There's a dedicated shadow work mirror. I'm not going to flip it around and blind you because my light's so bright. There's a little feather pen in there. Incense holder. Myrrh incense. You get a little, I'm not going to open them, but you get a little key charm in a package. There's some labradorite. Put this aside. A shadow work journal. There's a pack of black salt, myrrh resin, a little mirror charm, obsidian crystals, patchouli, mugwort, it never ends, wormwood. You guys, look at this. Look at this road opener oil. Is that not gorgeous? I love it. There's Big Bell. I love bells. I love bells. I cannot pick it up without ringing it. There's a little protection oil in here. All the candles you need. And, oh, did I forget something? Oh, yeah. A little crystal teaspoon for your herbs. There's so much I had to check. And you get a full instructional guide. It walks you through the entire ritual from start to finish. It is so detailed. This is like, I want to say it's more of like an intermediate ritual, but beginners can most definitely follow these instructions. They are very detailed, very detailed.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna give one away during the live event, but it is available for purchase on witchsea.com under the Two Sisters of the Harvest Moon shop, so you can get it there as well. But
I recommend any of their boxes. They're fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we thank you again all for coming tonight, and we look forward to next Friday night where we get to do the fun thing. And we get to put that jar together and get some of our intentions moving and our protection going. So thank you all for coming tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.